What flirting tricks work well? We had met before, and he was eager to move our relationship beyond just friendship. I told him that I was too busy for dating at the moment. However, he offered to spend time with me while I took care of a long list of errands, which included getting an oil change, filling up on gas, returning a pair of shoes, picking up dry cleaning, and blowing up balloons for a party. It was really nice to have someone there who supported me and was willing to be a part of my everyday life. We spent the day together in a relaxed and pressure-free way, which gave us a chance to get to know each other better. I was so caught up in my tasks that I forgot to eat lunch. Noticing this, he kindly got me a donut and a cup of coffee to keep me going. Another time, he said, "I have a riddle for you." But then he took my hand in his. With his finger, he traced a line down the center of my palm. "Imagine this is a river," he explained. "It's too wide to jump over, too deep to wade across, too fast to swim across, and too long to go around. Now picture a little bunny stuck in one side of this river. How does the bunny cross the river?" I spent some time trying to solve the riddle, but after a while I gave up and asked him for the answer. He looked at me with a playful smile and said, "Who cares about the bunny? I just wanted an excuse to hold your hand." These moments showed me his thoughtful and caring nature. Our relationship continued to grow, and eventually, we got married. I'm taking so many notes right now, bro. Story 2. In the beginning, my boyfriend was quite shy and found it difficult to express his feelings openly, especially since we were just friends. However, he discovered a sweet and unassuming way to show his interest. One day after we had seen each other, he took out his phone and sent me a message. It was a simple text, but the words he chose were kind and thoughtful. He told me that I looked really nice that day. This might seem like a small thing to some, but to me, it was a bright spot in my day. It showed me that he was paying attention and that he cared about me. It wasn't a grand gesture or an elaborate scheme. It was just a genuine compliment from someone who was too shy to say it in person at the time. That text was a turning point for us. It opened the door to a deeper connection and allowed our friendship to blossom into something more. It reminded me that sometimes, the most effective way to show someone you're interested is through simple acts of kindness and sincere compliments. It's not about the size of the gesture, it's about the thoughtfulness behind it. Story 3. During our time in college, we shared not only classes, but also the long mornings that led up to them. My commute to school was a journey that stretched over an hour, and it became a habit for us to spend that time talking on the phone. It was during one of these conversations that I mentioned feeling the throbbing headache. Little did I know my words would lead to a gesture that warmed my heart. By the time I had parked my car and walked through the familiar corridors of our campus, there he was, standing with a gentle smile and 3 simple items that spoke volumes. A packet of medicine to soothe my headache, a bottle of water to wash it down, and a yogurt parfait, a small treat to brighten my day. This wasn't the only time his thoughtfulness shone through. On a different day, in a casual conversation, I had mentioned offhandedly that my eyeliner had come to an end, leaving me without a crucial part of my daily routine. The next day, as if by magic, he presented me with a new eyeliner. Later, I discovered the lengths he had gone to find the perfect replacement. His brother revealed that he had spent a whole hour at the store, seeking advice from makeup experts, determined to find the right one despite his lack of knowledge about such things. As the seasons changed and our days in college became memories, our relationship deepened, and we found ourselves standing at the altar, promising a lifetime of such moments. 4 years into our marriage, his sweet nature hasn't waned. He remains the kindest soul I know, always ready to brighten my day with his considerate actions. It's worth mentioning that such acts of kindness, while beautiful in our story, could be perceived differently in another context. It's essential to have a strong foundation of friendship and to give without the expectation of receiving. Our friendship was rock solid, and his character was beyond reproach. He was the kind of person who made everyone feel valued, and I was no exception. There were times when I questioned his intentions, wondering if his kindness was a sign of something more or just his innate goodness. But as time passed, it became clear that his heart was as true as they come. He never pushed for more than I was willing to give, and he never made me feel uncomfortable with his attention. All right, more notes. Do acts of service to everybody and not just her. Okay, got it, thanks. Story 4. I have a story that might not be the most extraordinary, but it's certainly the one that stands out the most in my memory. It all happened at the gym, where I'd been going a bit overboard with my workouts. I was ignoring the signals my body was sending me, and as a result, I found myself in a precarious situation. Out of nowhere, a wave of dizziness washed over me, and my vision began to fade to white. It dawned on me that I was about to lose consciousness, so I did my best to slowly ease myself down to the floor. Fortunately, I wasn't alone. A guy who was also working out noticed my distress and quickly came to my aid. He was there just in time to catch me and ensure that my descent to the floor was gentle, preventing my head from hitting the hard surface. With care, he helped me lie down and immediately began trying to keep me alert. He peppered me with questions that required some thought, such as asking me to identify the day of the week and name the current president. His intention was to keep my mind engaged and prevent me from slipping into unconsciousness. As the fog began to lift and I showed signs of recovery, his demeanor shifted from one of concern to a more playful and flirtatious tone. He started asking me different questions, this time ones that were more personal. He wanted to know my name and asked for my phone number, playfully suggesting that since he had become a knight in shining armor, the least he deserved was a chance to take me on a date. His ability to lighten the mood with humor and charm made me laugh, which in turn helped me feel better both physically and emotionally. In the end, I gave him my number, and what began as a moment of vulnerability turned into the beginning of a memorable connection. Story 5. Many years ago, I had a job at a florist where the owner did something quite unethical. He hired mostly Mexican girls who were in the United States to learn English. They attended school, but at the florist, they were paid less than the minimum wage. Despite the shady nature of the situation, I enjoyed working with these girls. We would create little games to help each other learn. I practiced my Spanish, and they worked on their English. One day, a Latino man walked into the shop, and one of the girls assisted him. He wanted to buy a bouquet for someone he liked, so she guided him around the store, showing him what she thought were the best flowers. After she had wrapped the bouquet beautifully for him, he paid for his purchase. But then, in a move that caught me completely by surprise, he wrote his phone number on the receipt and handed it to her. It was such a smooth gesture. The girl, however, was unfazed. She reacted as if this was a normal occurrence, saying, "Oh, men do this where I'm from. They don't do that here?" I was taken aback and replied, "No, they don't." It was a moment that highlighted the difference in cultural norms and the smooth confidence of the man who had made his interest known in such a subtle yet effective way. Story 6. On a sunny day, as I made my way across the sprawling grounds of my university, a simple misstep turned into an unexpected adventure. The heel of my sandal caught on the raised edge of a sidewalk, sending me stumbling forward and my books flying in every direction. It was one of those moments that seemed to happen in slow motion, leaving me to wonder how such a mundane task could go so awry. But in the midst of my minor chaos, a figure appeared, a fellow student who had witnessed my tumble. With a voice filled with concern, he asked if I was all right, his eyes scanning to ensure I hadn't been hurt in the fall. As I brushed off my pride and assured him I was fine, he began to gather my scattered books, his actions thoughtful and kind. With my belongings collected, he offered to accompany me to my class, an offer I gratefully accepted. As we walked side by side, our conversation flowed easily, a blend of laughter and shared stories that made the journey feel far too short. It had a way of making me feel at ease, as if we had known each other for much longer than just a few minutes. When we arrived at the door of my classroom, he turned to me with a smile and asked if he could have my phone number. I paused for a moment, a playful thought crossing my mind. I tore off a small piece of paper from my notebook and wrote down my number, but I left my name off on purpose. It was a little test, a way to see if he had been truly listening to our conversation earlier. He took the paper, thanked me, and we parted ways, but the story of us was just beginning. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, and before long, our chance encounter had blossomed into a deep and lasting love. Now, as I look back over 2 decades of marriage, I can't help but smile at the memory of that day. He has been my partner, my confidant, and my source of joy through all these years. Every day he finds a way to make me smile, a reminder of the serendipitous moment when a tripped step led me to the love of my life. Man, who's cutting onions? Jesus Christ. Anyways, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 7. During our time in school, it became a cherished routine for us to walk home together after the final bell rang. These walks were more than just a means to get from point A to point B. There were moments filled with laughter, shared stories, and a sense of companionship that made the journey feel like an adventure. One of the most endearing aspects of these walks was his unwavering attention to my safety and comfort. He had this way of ensuring that I was always on the inside of the sidewalk, away from the path of oncoming traffic and the occasional jostling of passersby. His methods were playful and heartwarming, sometimes involving a gentle twirl that would leave me giggling and securely on the inner side of the path. Other times, he would tickle my side ever so slightly, using the element of surprise to nudge me to safety, all while a smile danced in his eyes. These actions might not have been the typical flirtatious moves one might expect, but they held a special place in my heart. They were a testament to his thoughtfulness and the genuine care he had for my well-being. In the world where the hustle and bustle of daily life can often make us feel invisible, his gestures were a beacon of kindness that stood out. We never pursued a romantic relationship, and to this day, we have never dated. Yet the memory of those walks and the sweet moments we shared remains etched in my mind. It serves as a reminder that not all meaningful connections are defined by romantic love. Sometimes, the most impactful moments are those simple acts of care and consideration that come from a place of pure friendship. Even in the crowded hallways of our school, he would take the outer position, shielding me from the shoulder checks of those in a hurry. It was a small gesture, but one that spoke volumes about his character and the way he treated those around him. Looking back, those walks home were more than just a way to get from school to our respective houses. They were a journey through a friendship that was marked by laughter, care, and a mutual respect that I will always treasure. Story 8. Hailing from the United Kingdom, I embarked on an adventure across the pond to the United States. Armed with a temporary work visa and the spirit of adventure, my mission was clear yet temporary: to immerse myself in the winter wonderland of a ski season with Vail resorts. Nestled in the heart of the mountains, I found myself bartending at a cozy on-mountain restaurant, a hub for snow-dusted adventurers seeking warmth and good company. It was one of these bustling days that two snowboarders, their cheeks rosy from the chill and their eyes sparkling with the thrill of the slopes, wandered into the restaurant. They approached the bar, and as I prepared their drinks, a conversation unfolded, the kind that starts with the mundane but has the potential to veer into the extraordinary. As we chatted, the topic of my visa and the fleeting nature of my stay came up. I shared that I was only there for the season, a temporary visitor in the snowy paradise. It was then, amidst the clinking of glasses and the laughter that had begun to fill the air, that one of the snowboarders made a proposal that was unexpected as it was playful. "I'll marry you so you can stay," he said with a grin that suggested he was only half joking. "But we have to go on a date first." Little did we know then that this light-hearted exchange would be the seed from which a lasting relationship would grow. From that playful proposal, we went on to share countless memories, each one a brick in the foundation of a life built together. As the seasons changed and the years passed, our connection deepened, and the temporary became permanent. We recently celebrated our 13-year anniversary, a testament to the serendipitous moment that brought us together in an on-mountain restaurant. And here I am, still in Colorado, a British expat whose life took an unforeseen turn thanks to a chance encounter with a snowboarder who made a ridiculous offer that turned into a lifelong partnership. Well, that's one way to get a visa. Story 9. My former fiancé had a unique way of winning hearts. Through an avalanche of cheesy pickup lines, delivered with such goofiness that it was impossible not to be charmed, our initial encounter was as ordinary as could be, with a simple, "Hello, how are you?" But what unfolded next was anything but ordinary. With a nervous twinkle in his eye and a smile that hinted at mischief, he launched into a series of cheesy one-liners that were so outrageous they couldn't be ignored. It started with a classic dad joke that made me shake my head in amused disbelief. "Why couldn't the bicycle stand up on its own?" he asked, with an air of mock seriousness, and then after a perfectly timed pause, he delivered the punchline. "Because it was too tired." It was the kind of joke that made you groan and laugh at the same time. But he wasn't done yet. With a playful grin, he began tapping his pockets as if searching for something he had misplaced. I lost my number," he said, his voice laced with faux desperation. "Can I have yours?" It was a line so cheesy it would have made a cartoon character blush. Despite the overwhelming cheesiness of his approach, there was something about his demeanor that captivated me. His nervousness was palpable, yet he carried himself with an air of confidence that was both intriguing and attractive. And then there was his smile, a genuine, heartwarming smile that lit up his face and made the cheesiness of his lines seem almost endearing. In the end, it wasn't just the cheesy pickup lines or the goofy delivery that won me over. It was the combination of his earnest attempt to make me laugh, his nervous energy, and that great smile of his. It was a recipe for charm that, in its own way, worked. Story 10. In the early days of our relationship, my husband and I would often find ourselves cruising in his well-loved Nissan Sentra, a car that, despite its humble appearance, became the backdrop for some of our most cherished moments. This car, with its slightly worn seats and the faint hum of the engine, was more than just a mode of transportation. It was a vessel for the budding romance between us. As we navigated the streets, lost in conversation or simply enjoying the comfortable silence that exists between two people who are just beginning to discover the depth of their connection, there was one particular habit of his that stood out. Each time he shifted gears, a simple yet profound gesture unfolded. His hand, with a grace that seemed almost intentional, would glide from the gear shift, and in that brief transition, the back of his hand would softly caress the outside of my thigh. It was a fleeting touch, so subtle that it might have gone unnoticed by some, but to me, it was as if the world paused for a heartbeat, filling the space between us with a spark that felt like fireworks. This unspoken connection, conveyed through the lightest of touches, became a symbol of the growing affection between us. As the miles passed beneath the tires of his Sentra, I found myself reflecting on these moments. It was in the simplicity of riding beside him, and the ease with which we shared our days, that I realized something profound. I could see a future where this feeling, this sense of belonging and joy, stretched out endlessly before us. I could envision a lifetime of adventures, both grand and small, with him by my side. And so it was in that unassuming car, amidst the hum of the engine and the gentle touch of his hand, that I knew I could happily spend the rest of my life riding with him, exploring the world and building a life together, one shared glance and one gentle touch at a time. Story 11. On the third occasion of our friendship, I found myself at his house, a place that would soon become a sanctuary for a growing connection. We were both engrossed in the demanding world of graduate school. Our conversation continued as we sat in the comfort of his room. However, the weight of my responsibilities, the relentless schedule of school, coupled with the demands of my two jobs, had cast a shroud of fatigue over me. As I settled onto his bed, the warmth and the gentle hum of our conversation lulled me to an unexpected slumber. When I eventually opened my eyes, the room was bathed in a soft light, and the air was filled with the melodious notes of a piano. He had draped a blanket over me, a gesture of care that spoke volumes. I was now lost in the music it was creating. A wave of embarrassment washed over me as I realized I had drooled on his pillow, a testament to my deep sleep. Yet he met my sheepish apology with kindness, not a hint of discomfort about my unintended nap on his bed. That moment, framed by the notes of the piano and the gentle understanding between us, was a pivotal one. It was a glimpse into the depth of his character, a revelation of the tenderness and respect that would become the hallmarks of our relationship. Years have passed since. We have traversed the journey from friends to life partners. We have now been married for almost 4 years, with 8 years of shared memories and experiences binding us together. That day, with its unexpected nap and the beautiful piano music, remains etched in my heart as a symbol of the love and care that has flourished between us. Well, if you like these stories, here's more. YouTube thinks you're going to love this. Catch you in that video.